got back from Cuba, if you couldn't tell by the cigar. Which side are you supposed to? Where's this piece of paper? Going to Cuba can be a little bit complicated, especially if you're going as an American. So I'm gonna try to cover all the questions you might have as far as visas, currency, things not to bring, things not to do. You are gonna go prepared. Tip number one, Cuba is very, very safe, but be careful of pickpockets. People recommended that I get one of those hidden wallet waist pouch things that you wear under your clothes, and I was like, I don't need that. I'm just kidding, this is just a toy. Kind of put it off and this happened. That was not cool. This dude just tried to steal my phone. A guy grabbed my phone out of my pocket. I had to grab it back from him. It was kind of I'll tell you the whole story another time. We met a guy there that got his wallet stolen from a zippered pocket. Don't worry, it's very safe, very little violent crime. Just keep your guard up and maybe get one of those hidden wearable wallets. Next, try to do as much research as you can before heading over there. I always traveled spur of the moment and traveled without an itinerary. So when I got there, I was glued to these small Wi-Fi hotspots with dreadfully slow internet. I wanted to die. What to bring and what not to bring. Walking shoes. Taxis are generally easy to track down, but we ended up doing a lot of walking, 44.7 miles during the 5 days we were there. These definitely did the trick for me there. Next, make sure you bring toiletries. Medication, contact lens solution, sunblock, all that stuff that you might need. A lot of these things are a lot harder to get there than it is here, so if you're planning on going there and just picking everything up at a 7-Eleven, no. A lot of public bathrooms don't have toilet seats or toilet paper, so just kind of be prepared. We stayed at an Airbnb, so that worked really well for us. We booked it only a few days in advance, so we were kind of out of options, but it still worked out. There's also super fancy hotels if you're a bala, which we definitely are not. So if you're bringing anything slightly out of the ordinary, just double check to make sure it's okay. You can't bring in things like a toaster, iron, porn. Sorry guys, you have to leave your Playboy magazines at home. Do they even sell that anymore? Playboy magazines? I was this close to bringing my drone, and it's a really good thing I didn't. First thing that pops up when I look up if I can fly my drone in Cuba is this guy who gets taken to jail for 13 days trying to get some footage. It took him like 5 days before he can let his family even know he's alive. It's a crazy story. You should go watch this video if you want to be terrified of Cuban prison. Electricity while you're there. I am super smart and got this adapter, which is totally the wrong one. So yeah, a majority of their outlets are the same as in the States, so I just plugged everything straight in the walls. Turns out that's actually not the best idea. Cuba's energy grid is far from stable. There's a lot of spikes and outages. So if you're plugging in some expensive electronics, you should probably get a universal travel adapter with a surge protector. The surge protectors aren't that expensive online, and I read one guy say that his MacBook got shorted while he was there. I plugged in my laptop the whole time I was there. I guess I got kind of lucky there. And I guess now a lot of the newer places are popping up with 220 volt outlets. Most modern electronics can regulate this power, but if you're in doubt, you can get a voltage converter. As far as language goes, if you're in an area with a lot of tourists like Old Havana, you should have no problem getting by with just English. But outside of there, I noticed most people don't really speak English, so if you know a little bit of Spanish, that's great. You might also want to have an offline translator app on your phone. Speaking of phone apps while you're there, you should definitely get an offline Cuban map. This is the one I used. It's called Cuba, and it's free, and it was a lifesaver when it came to navigating around the streets. You should probably download it right now before you forget, because the internet there is so slow that you probably can't get it there. It'll take forever. So go ahead and install it right now. I'm gonna wait, and I wish I had a watch, so I have to. Now let's talk about some cash money. No, but seriously, bring cash. American credit cards and debit cards don't work while you're there, so make sure you bring enough plenty to last you the entire trip, plus a little bit extra as a cushion. We met a guy who lost his wallet and all his cash, so he had to go to the US Embassy to get some cash. So just like I did with my Iceland video, I tracked every dollar I spent for this entire trip, and I'll make a completely separate video explaining exactly how much I spent on food, travel, flight, visa, all that stuff, so that'll be coming soon. Their dual currency system sounds really bizarre and confusing at first, but it's really not. They have CUC and CUP. For the most part, just ignore CUP. Just CUC is based off $1 US. One CUC, $1 US. So you will only be dealing with CUCs. That makes it pretty simple because you know that if you see something that's 10 CUC, that's basically $10. Okay, so this other currency, CUP, what do you need to know about that? Sometimes if you go to a more local place, you'll see prices listed in CUPs. And at that point, you can ask how much is it in CUCs and pay accordingly. We figured that out on our first night there because we went to this bar in the middle of nowhere. No one spoke a word of English, and we ordered a couple of rum shots, and he was like this. So we gave him 10 CUCs, and he gave us 9 back. We were expecting to spend $10, and it actually was in CUP, so it only cost $1 for a round of shots. Okay, so how do you get the currency? The easiest way is to bring US dollars, bring it over there and get CUC. The problem with that is that aside from the exchange rate, you're also paying a 10% tax to go from US dollars to CUCs. For example, at this one hotel, for every 100 US dollars you change to CUC, you're gonna lose about $13 to $14. One way to minimize that is to convert it to a different currency here in the States. So we got US dollars, we converted it into euros. We found a place here that gave us a good exchange rate to euros, and then we switched it to CUC. So when it was all said and done, we were losing about $6 per $100. Do a little bit of research to find the best exchange rate in the States though, because if you go to the airport, my friend got a terrible exchange rate over there, and she ended up paying $20 per $100 converted. Not the best. Tipping etiquette. Yes, you should tip there, but the standard is a little bit less in the States. At restaurants, it's generally about 10% or 15% for really good service. Taxis is generally 1 to 3 CUCs, and we give out 1 CUC tips here and there, and they were super appreciative. Obviously, you're gonna need your passport to go, but aside from that, you're also gonna need a visa. So how do you get this visa? We ordered ours online at CubaTravelServices.com. We got ours within a week of ordering it. Also turns out you could get it at certain airline terminals for $100, so that might be a little bit easier for you. Just make sure your terminal has it. Visas look like this, and be very careful when you're filling it out because you have to fill it out with black ink, and if you make a mistake, it's a $100 mistake because you have to get a whole new one. As you probably know, you can't go to Cuba as a tourist. You need to go with one of these 12 reasons to visit. So when we got to the airport, we checked in and they gave us a form to fill out where we mark off our reason for visit. This part made us a little bit anxious. I marked off journalist because, you know, we weren't sure how many questions they were gonna ask, how deep they're gonna look into it, what kind of credentials we're gonna need. So I secretly recorded my entire verification process so you guys can prepare for it. Ready for this? Here it goes.
Perfect, thank you. She'll scan you in.
That was it. That was it. The 2 seconds. I wish they would have at least looked at the paper. I put a lot of thought and concern into this. But no, it was straight up just like, next, move. Cuban travel medical insurance is required to enter the country, but it's most likely included in your airfare. They're gonna give you more papers on the plane to fill out, which they don't look at either. The only thing they really look at is your visa, so don't mess that part up. Oh, before going, I also recommend making a copy of your passport so you can carry it around with you at all times. You're gonna need to have your passport on you for a few things like this. The rest of the time, just carry around a copy like this. We learned that the hard way.
So I don't know where my passport is.
We're gonna keep looking for this passport and hopefully it pops up.
Yeah, so I thought I had to carry my passport around with me the whole time, which is why I lost it. But turns out when I went to the embassy, the lady there just said that I only need a copy or even my driver's license.
Also, don't spit or blow your nose in public. It is considered super rude there. I actually ended up puking all over the street on my last day there. I don't know what they consider that. Luckily, no one saw except for a 6-year-old boy who was watching from a balcony. Don't take pictures of government officials while you're there, and also do not talk negatively about the government, at least in public. The Cubans we met have been all super nice, but be careful of the ones that are overly eager to help you out. It's like they have a script that they all go by, and it's kind of like this. Hey, where are you guys from? You guys are great people. I love people from you wherever you're from. Today is the last day of the cigar festival. Everything is half off. As an experiment, we asked these people every day we were there if it was a cigar festival, and they were like, yeah, but today's the last day. Every single day is the last day. Oh, you guys must be hungry. I know the best Cuban restaurant, best food you'll ever eat. Let's go. Let me walk you to this place that's really good. They'll take you there, and then the food will be super overpriced. I'm almost certain that they get a commission out of it because the guy that walks you always like shakes the hand of the doorman. We looked at the menu and it was like 16 CUC per plate. We went right next door and it was like $4 per plate. So
trust no one.
Don't drink the tap water there, only the bottled water. And some say avoid the ice, like even margaritas. We had a couple ice drinks and it was fine, but it's kind of at your own risk. I thought the food there was amazing, but some people go there expecting to get a lot of spicy Latin food. So we were on a plane with a guy who actually brought his own hot sauce. So if you really like spicy food, I guess that's a pretty good solution. It's generally a good idea to know how much things should cost before going there, or else you're gonna end up overpaying for some things. For example, taxis. If you tell them how much you're willing to pay to go somewhere, you're gonna get a better rate than if you ask them how much things might cost in broken Spanish. If you go, cuánto ride to old Havana, they're gonna rip you off. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna make a separate video where I explain exactly how much everything costs in detail, and also a video about all the stuff we did while we're there if you're trying to bulk up your itinerary. Regulations seem to change pretty frequently, so if things change, I'll try to keep it updated in the description box. If I left anything out or you guys have something to add, leave it in the comments below. I usually pin the most useful comments comment so that everyone else can see it. My next video will probably be how much Cuba costs or things to do there. We'll see. See you guys next week.